Hello YouTube, welcome back to part 12 of how to use this classic FPS pack. In today's video we're going to be discussing how to use the saving system within the pack. The saving system is used throughout all the elements within this pack, including the player, the pushable objects, the door system, dialogue system, and much more. The saving system itself is quite robust, and I've created another video on this YouTube channel explaining exactly how the system works in the code. You can find that video in this playlist or also in the description. Looking at that video will give you a very good understanding of how all this works in the background. First, let's go ahead into the save manager script in the game manager. Make sure that testing is true. This will allow you to save and load the current scene using the keys, which is E and F for save and load. Make sure to look into the script because it has a bunch of public functions that you can call that will be useful when you're creating menus and saving systems yourself. This scene has been set up so that everything that I touch and modify will be saved. So I'm going to hit play and I'm going to move a bunch of stuff in the scene and I'm going to hit save. Whenever I save or load, you'll see it in the debug console. Now I've saved the scene, and when I hit load you'll notice that everything returns back to its position and rotation. But the awesome thing is we've also saved the rigid body's velocity and angular velocity, so if I push the spheres and I saved it just before they fall off the edge, they continue rolling off the edge. Also notice that the player hops back to the position and rotation where he was saved. And overall everything seems the exact same as when we saved it. I can even exit play mode, come back and hit load, and it will return back to the exact same position. This is because the saving is not done internally because it's saved to a file on your hard drive. To actually find the save files of this scene, you can go into app data, local low, and then go into default company or what company name you've set within Unity, and then the name of your project. Inside here you can see all of the save files and you can open them up and actually read them. They're in a simple JSON format. The location of these files will vary depending on the operating system, but if you search up the persistent data path for your operating system, you'll be able to find out where these save files are. Right now you'll notice that there's a bunch of save files even for a simple scene, and they're in a text file which might not be so secure for save files. This will all be fixed when the asset is actually released. It will be compressed into one single binary file. However, you'll be able to switch between the testing version and deployment version, so you can actually debug the save files in case of finding any errors. So let's check out a specific example here. We want to see the save files of this pushable sphere. To find the save file, we can look for the name of the scene, followed by the name of the game object, followed by the state that we're saving. In this case, it's the transform state. Now you'll notice on the pushable sphere we have this script called the transform state. A state is a generic class and you can extend states off of that. For example, this is the transform state and it contains information about the transform and rigid body. Whenever you want to track the position, rotation, rigid body properties of any game object in a scene, all you have to do is attach a transform state to it. You can notice the values of the transform state being loaded in as we hit load in the game. We can reuse states as much as we need within a scene. For example, you notice that we've reused the transform state in the player controller because we need to track the position and rotation of the player controller throughout the game. Whenever a state is loaded back into the scene, it's identified through its unique ID. The unique ID is the same when you save and load, so we can figure out which files go to which state in the game. Here is how the default unique ID is constructed. You can override this to create your own unique IDs and make sure that there are no overlaps. One limit of this default unique ID is that you can't have game objects with the exact same name in the same scene, if you're planning to attach the same states to them. Now there are a bunch of other pre-made states in this pack. However, the point of the state class is that you can extend and create your own states. To have a better understanding of how to do this, make sure you check out my other video on how the system is actually created, so you'll have a really good understanding of how to create your own states. Now another state type is the pickup state. You'll notice that most of the pickup objects have a similar set of options starting off. This includes things such as the weapon pickups, health, coin pickups, key pickups, anything that you can pick up. First is the actual checkbox saying whether or not you should save this state for this pickup object. Second is the being used checkbox. You don't have to change this will be changed based on the state. The allow respawn checkbox allows you to respawn the item even though you've picked it up. If you set this to false, once you've picked this item up and we've saved that state, this object will not respawn when the game is reloaded. You'll notice here that even the player's coin amount and health amount remain constant after loading and saving. This is because the player statistics script on the player controller is also derived from the state. Due to this, we can save multiple properties of the player. This is mainly including the keys that the player has, the weapons that the player has, coins, health, and things like that. The different thing about the player statistics script is it's considered as a global state, meaning that we want to save the state across multiple different scenes. Because of this, the UID assigned to the player statistics state does not have the scene within its name, it's just called player statistics. Because of this, we can load the state no matter what scene we're in. Therefore, the statistics of the player will remain constant even when we move through the different scenes. You'll notice that the saving system is littered throughout the place in this pack. For example, it's even present in the door and dialogue system. In a previous video, we discussed how to get a key from interacting with an NPC. In this save example, we're going to get this key from this NPC, open this door and save the scene. You'll notice that the door remains open and we can't go back and get another key from the NPC because it remembers that we've already collected the key from it. To understand how all of these states are working, make sure to open up these scripts and understand how the states are being loaded and saved. This will give you a very good understanding of how to use these mechanics in your game. Now at the start of this video, I mentioned that using the keys E and F are only temporary ways of saving and loading. In game, you might want to use an actual object within the scene to save and load the game. We've provided two examples within this pack. One is the save point and one is the checkpoint. They both use the same save point script. The first save point prefab is an interactable version of saving. You go into the sphere collider's trigger and then you press a button such as E to save the game. It also has a little bit of dialogue that shows up and tells you whether or not you've saved and how to save. The second option is the checkpoint. All you have to do is stand over it and the checkpoint will enable. This means that the scene will be saved and when you load, the player will spawn on top of the checkpoint. The checkpoint has an additional option of being able to only use it once. So once you've used it, it will disable, it will change color, and that will be saved as well. So you can't use the same checkpoint multiple times. Now if you want to test scene loading as if the scene was called from a main menu or some point in the game manager, you can set is testing to true on the game manager script. That's all for this video, but if you want more information, you can check out the other tutorials on this channel, or you can check out some of the sample projects. If you want to see this asset pack in action, you can check out some of Thomas Brush's live streams where he's using this pack to build his new game, Father.